Good morning. This is the new Undisputed, and it is time to skip the BS. You can hit us up right now at #UndisputedLive with your comments, pro or con. To my right are Keyshawn Johnson and Richard Sherman. To my left, not to be confused with left out, is the man of many, many words, Michael Irvin. I hope you guys have recovered from yesterday because this ain't the preseason anymore. I'm going to get a bump around the table and a bump.
Absolutely,
and a bump.
buddy.
All right.
Let's do this.
Are we ready to fly?
Come on now.
All right. In a moment, you will hear from Michael, Key, and Richard on our first topic. But first up, you will hear from me. Now it has come clear that Jerry Jones did not inform Dak Prescott that he was trading for Trey Lance. Mike McCarthy says he didn't know either. I find that significant on both counts. If Dak were Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow or even Jalen Hurts, the owner or / general manager would have honored him by keeping him in the loop because they're partners. They're locked arm in arm heading into the future. But I don't believe Jerry is completely sold on Dak as his future. So when he suddenly had a chance to steal a 23-year-old third pick in the draft for a mere fourth-round choice, he jumped at it without even getting off the very first negotiating phone call. No back and forth, just done. I believe Jerry believes what I believe, that Trey Lance's ceiling is higher than Dak. He just obviously, Trey Lance hasn't had enough experience, had enough reps in the NFL, nor has he displayed the NFL durability that he must going forward. But Jerry knows that for a mere fourth rounder, he could strike oil in a year or two. This was a steal of a deal for Jerry, and I applaud him. This also shows that Dak and McCarthy have very uncertain futures in Dallas. So, Keyshawn, let's start with you. What do you read into Jerry not keeping Dak and McCarthy in this loop?
Well, everything you just said, I said yesterday for the most part, right? You just cleaned it up. Here's what I would say about that. McCarthy was in the loop. He wasn't in the loop on when they were going to pull the trigger, but he certainly was in the loop at, oh, there's an opportunity to get a quarterback. He said it himself. I evaluated the process.
Yeah, I think he evaluated it, but he didn't know this was happening.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
But that's okay. You don't need to know, Skip. I don't need to tell you everything. I'm the boss.
Well, is he?
I'm the boss. I want you.
He might be the biggest boss
I want you to take a look and see what you think. You like it? Okay, fine. I don't need to tell you we're going to do it. I don't need to tell you how much we're giving up. What is Mike McCarthy going to say? I love him. Oh, go get him for a second-round pick? No.
Okay.
He communicated the fact that they're going to look at him, so the coach evaluated him, and now you allow the business people to do the business deal.
Okay.
That's the bottom line.
All right, let's quick look at San Francisco. Would John Lynch do a deal without getting Kyle right in the loop, like keeping him in the lockstep?
But Kyle is not, I mean, John Lynch is not Jerry Jones, and Kyle is not Jerry Jones. They work lock and step. Kyle Shanahan, to a degree, is the de facto general manager.
Okay.
John Lynch is there because of Kyle Shanahan. That's why he's there. He's there because John Lynch didn't hire Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan basically hired John Lynch.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, you played for him, so you would know.
Hey, I don't know the dynamic there.
They have something great working together.
And they got something great working together.
They work together really well.
Absolutely.
With that.
Jerry works for Jerry. Jerry works for the best interest of the Dallas Cowboys, and that is how he has always been for the last decade. The last trade that I remember, the significant trade, was Herschel Walker 30 years ago. 30 years ago when he made that trade, which ended up being a king's ransom and helped lead to that dynasty you guys had. Great players. They got Emmett in that trade. They got
by the way, Jimmy Johnson was right in the middle of that deal and actually took it to Jerry, but go ahead.
That was 30 years ago.
That's 30 years ago. But you're talking about Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson, we're talking about historians. We're not talking about Mike McCarthy being an all-time coach. No. And so if you're not an all-time coach, you're not in this decision-making process. You might be gone next year. Jerry will be there for the next, hopefully, 30 years. You know?
Right. And for me, with this whole situation, now, I see how it reads, and you go through it, you hear Jerry say, listen, Jerry's job his GM job is to improve the football team.
Absolutely.
And not just for right now, but also for tomorrow, for the future. So Dak Prescott right now is the quarterback. In the far future, and I say far, and later on I'll give you exactly what far is, that time span. In the far future, Trey Lance will play a role. He was on the telephone, and this opportunity came up.
Yes.
We all do business here. We know business is time sensitive.
Yes.
And you got somebody on the phone. We hear it all the time when people are, hey, they got him in the building. Don't let him out the building. This was the same situation. They had Trey in the building talking on the phone. At least they had the 49ers on the phone. And you make that deal for a fourth round. You don't have time to text that, to call McCarthy. You make that deal because you know for the future, this can help the football team. He clearly said it's not right now. It's for the future. I have no problem with him not connecting with those guys before he makes
Would you immediately then pick up the phone and call Dak Prescott and say, hey, I had an opportunity here. It is no reflection on you whatsoever. He did not make that phone call.
After the fact?
Yeah, like a minute after the fact, before it hits Twitter or whatever it's called
doing
now.
a million different things. Skip, you know this. You know Jerry Jones is busy doing a million different things. Every time I make a transaction, I don't have to call the position to let them know. Whether it's my starting quarterback, my starting receiver, my starting left tackle, I don't have to let you know, hey, I just picked up a backup that's going to help us in 2024, 2025.
We need to be careful. We need to be careful because I do need the owner or the GM consulting with the coach to get the temperature of the team. And if I make a move, I'm saying Trey was not, I'm worried about him pressing Dak for the job right now. So I didn't have to come to Mike McCarthy to say, hey, how will this affect the psyche of this team? Because I do want them consulting for that reason. I do want.
So you don't think Jerry Jones has a
when the
pulse?
opportunity presents itself like it did, and you get a fourth round pick for a guy that San Fran gave up 3 first rounders for.
Yes.
And those 3 first rounders, man. No, listen.
But Mike,
we were just talking about cars and how you buy them high and you sell them low. They sold him so low you couldn't pass that deal up.
Before we came on. Right.
And what I'm saying,
so you couldn't pass the deal up.
But you also got to trust that your quarterback understands he's secure.
that's what I was going to ask you, though, Mike.
Dog, y'all know these
can't-
quarterbacks. Y'all stop playing, man. We
don't,
love them all, but y'all know
but
how
you can't
sensitive
be
they are.
that
We all
weak-minded
understand that.
where
That's what we're saying the same thing.
I'm saying a third-string quarterback is coming in, and you're feeling so insecure that I got to call you and say, hey, don't worry, Dak.
No, and Dak isn't.
It's okay. He's not. And Jerry knows that. So Jerry's not calling him.
And Dak isn't. And Dak isn't. And he didn't call. But I understand what Skip is saying. Now, if you're bringing in somebody that can threaten Dak right now,
That's a different
then I'm with it. Now we can get to this ceiling stuff that Skip has laid on this table. What about how the ceiling? The ceiling. Carl Lewis had a higher ceiling than me, but you better not put him on a football field. You see what I'm saying? He can run, he can out jump, but you better not put him on a football field. He's gonna get hurt.
Too.
Yes, they did. That's why I used it.
Yes, they did. They almost signed him.
And he had a high ceiling, but he better not get on that football field. And Ronaldo Nehemiah
you basically alluded to the fact that Jerry needs to communicate with Mike McCarthy.
Yes, he does.
To understand the pulse of the team.
Right.
You don't think Jerry understands the pulse of his own team? Of course he does. You know that. He's in that locker room. He talks to those players. He's there every single day. He knows the psyche of each individual player on that team, along with Stephen Jones, along with the other individuals in the executive office. So he doesn't need to necessarily go to them to communicate, I'm pulling the trigger on a particular position. That's my only thing.
Let me tell you why, in this one time, I would push back on that. We just made a change. You took out offensive coordinator Kellen Moore. Now he's gone. Mike McCarthy and Dak now is making this connection. When I talked to Dak, Dak said, this has been good, Mike. This has been the right decision. I really do believe it's been the right decision. So they're making a bond. I don't want Dak thinking now, oh, I thought you and I were doing something, Mike. Now you're around here behind the back with Jerry doing something. You see what I'm saying? That kind of psyche, I want us to be careful with while they're working on their bone. Come on, Keith.
No, if he's that weak,
ain't nobody, everybody don't know weak mentally. Those words are going to be thrown around with Dak Prescott. Keith Sean said Dak Prescott weak mentally. In the context of what we're talking about, nobody's talking about weak mentally. Nobody said anything about being weak mentally.
What you worried about then? I'm the starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not worried about anything.
But I'm worried about the union between this new play caller and the player.
What Jerry's telling you is, look, I showed you neither one of y'all are included, so your relationship is fine. But I'm also saying Mike McCarthy may not be here any longer, so I'm not going to sit here and bet long-term decisions and vet long-term decisions with a coach who may not be here. What I'm saying is, if this isn't a Jordan Love situation where they drafted him in the first round and you feel threatened and you call a quarterback like, hey, you're fine. This is a draft for the future.
Skip, let me ask you this.
Let me ask you this.
Okay, go ahead, buddy.
What is the biggest problem, to your point about mental weakness, okay? What is Dak's biggest issue to me? Flimsy confidence. Why did he throw 15 interceptions and missed 5 games last year, tied for the league lead? Why was that? Because he is the quarterback of America's team. I think it is the most pressurized position in all of sports. It is difficult to play it from week to week. Look at his week-to-week inconsistency. He'll have a big game. He sent Tom Brady into the sunset, man, down in Tampa in that play. He was sensational. And he turns right around a week later, and he goes to San Francisco and lays a big old egg right out on a field that you played on. It is wildly